And she's become a phenom in part because the players of the WNBA can't fucking stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's
In this clip, Megyn Kelly goes off on the recent developments with Caitlyn Clark, pretty much bending the knee and apologizing for her whiteness. Let's see what Megyn Kelly has to say.
We need to talk about Caitlyn Clark.
Yep.
So Caitlyn Clark of Iowa, but now playing for Indiana in the WNBA, gets honored in time as the athlete of the year. I don't know. I guess they need a lot of covers or something. I mean, whatever. They just want people who are going to sell their shitty magazine. So she gets selected as athlete of the year. And what does Caitlyn Clark do? Like this woman who's a superstar. She's the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. And she's become a phenom in part because the players of the WNBA can't fucking stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism. It's total racism. And one of the things that's been admirable about Caitlyn is she just continues to play her game and put points on the board. And she does very well, and she wins games, and she puts butts in the seats, and she sells tickets, and she gets people tuning in on television. And all really we want to hear from anybody about this is thank you. Thank you to Caitlyn Clark for making our league relevant and so on. But instead, she's been bullied repeatedly by the players in this league. She's been assaulted physically. She's been scratched in the eye. And I mean, all of this is on camera. We've covered it repeatedly on the show. So she gets this honor. And all she has to do is continue staying above it. Thank you. I'm grateful. Love being in the WNBA, and I love my colleagues who I play with, my teammates. That's it. Instead, she decides to go racial. And what she says is she feels the need to acknowledge her white privilege. Basically, she's sorry she's white. She feels really bad about it, though, so you should give her a pass. And then she makes a point of saying, the ones we really need to be celebrating are the black women on whose backs this league was built, which I have to tell you is so condescending.
It really
is. It's true that most of these black women have been bullying her and want her to understand it's their league. Hello, you don't own the league. Blacks don't own the league, just like whites don't own tennis or golf. Nobody owns the league. This is America. Anybody can play if they're good enough. But they want her on the knee. You'll bend the knee and you'll apologize for being white, and you will suck up to the black women who built this league before you, or you will be beaten. You will be assaulted, and you will be bullied with no friends. So she does it. She finally did it. She bent the knee, self-flagellated over white privilege, and look at the black women in this league. And I have to tell you, if I were a black woman in that league, I think I'd say, screw you. Because don't treat me like I am the ugly stepsister and you are Cinderella, and no prince is going to look at me unless Cinderella says, oh, give her a little time. Oh, put her in the spotlight for a moment. I would be offended, genuinely offended.
Yeah, but the black players on her team aren't going to be offended. They're probably like, yeah, you do that. You bend that knee. That they're probably the reason why she's doing it, because, yeah, she's gotten bullied so much. So, to have a black woman on there be offended and being like, yeah, no, I don't want this acknowledgement that you're giving. Like, no, it is condescending. Exactly what Megyn Kelly said. Like, in order for that to happen, that would require that these women are actually smart and aren't just these brain dead, lefty, woke. I'm the only reason I'm not anywhere in life is because where I want to be in life is because I'm black and blah, blah, blah. It would require for that to happen. So yeah, no, none of these other players, they're not gonna be upset that she apologized. They want her to do it. And the thing is, listen, the bullying's not gonna stop. Caitlyn Clark's a fool. But what do you guys think about that? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe if you like content like this. Let's see what else Megyn Kelly has to say.
By her, like, look over there, look at them. They're not white. They did a lot too. And here's the other thing. It's totally insincere. And here's how you know it's totally insincere. Because if Caitlyn Clark really felt uncomfortable in the spotlight as the newbie who's white, because white people didn't build the league, she wouldn't have said yes to being Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year. So either walk the walk or don't. But what you're doing here is trying to have it both ways. You're too cute by half, and you've managed to piss off your fan base. Go ahead and look at my Twitter feed and the comments under my tweet on this. She's lost thousands of fans, maybe more, as a result of this. And you will never appease the race bullies in the WNBA, ever, because you're too popular, you're too talented, and too white. That's it.
Well, I think you completely nailed it. As soon as I saw that statement from her, I was incensed, because it was only a couple of days earlier I'd been telling Duncan's from Indiana. I was like, wow, I see all these clips of this player you've got. She's amazing. She's done great. And I've been following during the season her getting bullied by all these other players who are jealous of her, who are jealous of her success. And meanwhile, these statistics would come out where all the road games where she plays sell out. They're the best selling games of the season is when she comes to town. And for her to turn around and bend the knee to these people who've been bullying her, like you said, it's never going to be enough. It's not just her trying to get these people to like her who've been mean to her. It's her complete betrayal of her fan base. People, like, for years and years, men have been complaining that ESPN doesn't cover sports. They cover critical race theory, and they're sick of it. People watch sports for escapism, to see competition. Caitlyn Clark was an inspiration to so many of my friends' daughters. And for her to go out and say something like this, to try to, like you said, being like, oh, no. Black players need me as a white savior to bring them and highlight them. This racist equity system, all it does is divide Americans. And the result of this election, in large part, was Americans saying, we're tired of that. We've had enough of that. And Caitlyn Clark's going right back to that.
And the Roy Orbison looking fellow that just talked is absolutely correct. By the way, I hope he's not blind or anything, or else I'll feel like a dick. But he's correct. And another thing is, too, is that's what this complete, that's why people liken these identity politics stuff, why it's linked to Marxism, because Marxism isn't about celebrating the highly successful. It's not even promoting the highly successful. It punishes you if you're too successful. It punishes you. It demonizes you. You're automatically an oppressor if you're too successful. And it's the same thing. Now it's brought into the racial and the racial divide and stuff. It's racism through a communist or Marxist lens where, whites are the oppressors and everyone else are the oppressees or oppressed. Is oppressee a word? Anyway, and it's the same thing. Caitlyn Clark, because of her and her basketball playing abilities, she's brought more eyes to the WNBA. There's people that actually care about the NBA now for the first time in, I guess ever. And instead of being excited, being like, yeah, now there's more eyes on us. Now it's my time to perform well so people could see how well I play and then my stock could rise. No, instead it's, oh, look, they're paying attention because it's the white girl. And now we got to bully her and take her down a peg, bring her down a peg. Again, punishing her for her success because she's white. It's a totally toxic system, totally toxic ideology. But if you're watching this video, I assume you guys already know that. Let's continue.
So right.
DEI is a nonsense thing, but can you think of any profession in which it's more nonsense than athletic competition, in which there are statistics and points scored? It's such a preposterous thing to claim somebody has privilege in a competition of athletics. And not to mention the fact of you would never say something like that about the NBA, where there are hundreds of black superstars paid millions and millions of dollars. And by the way, that NBA subsidizes the entire WNBA. Yeah, right. So, and she's walking around talking about her white privilege. It's insane.
Well, here's the other thing, Duncan. Here's the other question. I don't remember Serena Williams apologizing for her blackness in tennis, which had been dominated mostly by whites. I don't remember Tiger Woods apologizing for his blackness in the, PGA, which was dominated by whites. No one would even think of such a thing. They celebrated this new figure in sports who maybe didn't look like all the other figures they knew. They thought it was great. He was to be celebrated. That's how normal people have responded to Caitlyn.
What they all had in common is that they fundamentally changed the sport, and they brought casual fans into the sport to become lifelong fans of the sport. It didn't matter what the color of their skin was. That's what Tiger Woods did to golf. That's what Caitlyn Clark did to the WNBA. That's the sort of excellence that should be celebrated. And it's so weird to me that we had that entire ideology fail at the battle ballot box a few weeks ago, and now she's like the last one to get the memo. It's crazy.
Yeah,
imagine a world. We got to keep this going because it's like I'm so fired up about it. But imagine a world in which Serena and Venus take over tennis, they crush, and the thought pieces that are being written are, or the comments that they are required to say are, I just want to acknowledge that tennis was built on the back of white people like Chrissy Everett and Martina Navratilova and Billie Jean King. And, I have Black privilege in being here because of my whatever, however she wants to attribute that. It wasn't explained by Caitlyn either, exactly how her white privilege got her some more attention in the league. That's the theory by some racists, that the only reason we want to watch Caitlyn is because she's white and we can't stand watching the blacks, but we'll watch the white, which is absurd. She's by far the best. The stats prove it. That's why she's so popular. But in what world would we ever be comfortable saying to these black superstars, you better acknowledge the backs on whose, bodies tennis and golf and whatever white sport you can think of was built? I mean, it's an absurdity. It's racist on its face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing that
absolutely this Marxist ideology, it's like all based on jealousy. Like it's just all based of like, you have more than me. That's not right for whatever reason. Therefore, I deserve whatever you got, and that's what's going on here. It's same pretty much ideology. They're jealous that Caitlyn Clark's getting all the adoration and, the Time magazine covers and people are tuning in because of her. They're jealous of that, and so they're trying to take her down a peg. Caitlyn Clark's a fool because if she thinks her saying what she said is going to fix this or stop this, she's an idiot. She's a fool because it's not going to stop it. It's if anything, now that it's pretty much now it's your admission of guilt, pretty much like you apologizing in a way. Now the next step that these players are going to do is going to tell her, maybe you should quit then. Maybe you should retire. That's the next step that these people, like, they're not happy until you're completely gone. And so the bullying, it's not going to stop. Now the next step is just they're going to try to kick her out. So listen, whatever happens to Caitlyn Clark, it's completely on her. She should have tried to stay above it, but I also get it because when you're surrounded by other people who are just looking at you and bullying you and looking at you and just treating you with this contempt and jealousy, I imagine it can't be easy. But hey, they were successful in making her bend a knee, and well, now we're going to see what happens. What do you think's going to happen? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy content like this, and if you do enjoy content like this, I got a whole bunch more goodies on the screen for you to click away and enjoy.